Welcome to the Ducks Unlimited podcast, the only podcast about all things waterfowl. From hunting insights to science-based discussions about ducks, geese, and issues affecting waterfowl and wetlands conservation in North America. We bring the resource to you. The DU Podcast with your host, Dr. Mike Brazier.
We have a super special episode here with you today because we have as guest on this episode our current president, Doug Schoenrock, and our first vice president, Chuck Smith. Man, it's super excited to have y'all here. The other reason this is pretty cool is because we are on location at the Louisiana Ducks Unlimited State Convention in Lafayette, Louisiana, here in mid-June. It's a super hot weekend, but it's a super hot event as well. Chuck, for our listeners that may not know who you are, where you're from, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm Chuck Smith. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I've been a volunteer for Ducks Unlimited for a really long time. I was state chairman in Tennessee for a while. Then I was on the board for a while as a regional vice president. Most recently, I was selected to be secretary for Ducks Unlimited and then was elected first vice president 2 years ago. And then with any kind of luck at our convention coming up in New Orleans in 3 weeks, I'll be elected president. It's a tough act to follow Doug Schoenrock, but I'm going to do the best I can.
Have you shot a few ducks in your life before?
Yes, I would consider myself to be a waterfowler correctly. All days are, some days are better than others, but it's always great fun being out there and being in the marsh and doing your deal.
Chuck, thanks for being here. I look forward to having you as our president here going forward. And Doug, we've had you on before a couple of times. You and I discussed here very recently national convention that's going to be coming up here next month. But for those that may be tuning in just to this particular episode, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, Doug Schoenrock. I'm the 45th president of Ducks Unlimited, and I have a month and 5 days to go. Not that I'm counting. And I am staying with Chuck 24/7 to make sure he does not screw up because we're excited and honored to have someone of Chuck's caliber to follow me as president. Chuck will do a fine job, and he's a great leader, well-spoken, and has a wealth of experience to lead this organization to even better heights.
Thank you, Doug. We're going to have just a little short episode here. We had you both present with us and thought this would be a great opportunity for us to highlight our state conventions. We have these across the U.S. every year. They take on many different forms, and some of them are like huge blowouts attended by 300, 400 people. Others may be smaller events. I'll be honest, I don't have a whole lot of experience outside of Louisiana. I think I'm trying to remember if I've even been to a Mississippi State Convention. It's on my list. Certainly Tennessee will be as well. Louisiana is the one that I've been to most, and so I guess I want to start there. Tell me, Chuck, is this, you said, I think I was asking you earlier, this is your second time to be at the Louisiana State Convention?
Correct. I am a Louisiana State Convention Roadkill Cookoff veteran.
Wow.
I attended last year and learned don't eat everything as soon as you see it. Kind of try to pace yourself. But you mentioned state conferences and state conventions. I've been to a few. We put together a task force last year to really look at the role of state chairman, and one of the main things that we looked at were the state conventions that they have. And you're right, Michael, every state is different. Louisiana is very blessed to have a waiting list of standing in line people warming up in the bullpen, if you will, to become state chairman. It's a real honor and privilege to be state chairman, and people work at it, and they've got a great succession program. Other states, quite frankly, are just the opposite. We go lacking try to find a state chairman for Vermont, for example, but I hope nobody from Vermont is listening.
I hope they are. We can shame them into
we'll
something,
shame them
right?
into it. But they provide a very valuable asset for all of our volunteers in that exposure to what Ducks Unlimited does, not only from the fundraising side, but from the conservation side and from all the other areas that Ducks Unlimited is involved with today, public policy, for example, development, a wide range of different things that if you're a volunteer and if you're spending your time and your money for a particular cause, then my feeling is you want to know all there is to do about it. And what does my nonprofit do? What other areas are they interested in? And state conventions provide a great avenue for that to happen.
Thank you, Chuck. Doug, how many state conventions have you been to? You've been to quite a few, I know, in your presidency.
Well, between first vice president and president, probably, 20. And, they're all different. You go to the Midwest and, I was at Minnesota first weekend in February and it was 20 below zero and I didn't go outside for 3 days and I was glad I didn't. But huge family affair, 350 people plus there, great convention, a lot of kids, a lot of games for kids. Was at Texas. Chuck and I were at Texas last year, and huge celebration. Texas and Louisiana are two of our biggest states, and in fact, the Texas convention's going on right now. And this is my first time to the Louisiana convention because I've always had a conflict. And before I went out, which I go out in 1 month and 5 days, if I didn't say that earlier, I wanted to make sure I made it to a Louisiana State Convention, and it's an honor to be here. But to me, the state conventions and what I've seen is it's a tremendous opportunity for incoming state chairmen to be recognized by volunteers. But we ask these volunteers to go all year raising money for DU, putting on events, selling stuff, doing auctions, online, virtual, in person. This is a celebration of the volunteer. These opportunities are few and far between where we can gather our volunteers together in a single place and tell them thank you for what they do, because that's really what we do at a state convention, in addition to elect the next slate of officers.
A lot of the people listening to this will be, I would hope, all listening to this would be familiar with our banquet system, our fundraising banquet system. They would know about the auction. They would know about the raffles. They would know about all of the things that go on at those banquets. But these state conventions are different. Yes, tomorrow night we're going to have a gala. We're going to have an auction. It's going to be a big blowout, the same as all of our banquets are. But there are other things that occur at these state conventions. Like tomorrow we're going to have business meetings in the morning. Talk about some of that, Chuck, and what we're going to hear. What are the type of things that you've heard that you take from these business meetings that you've attended from various conventions?
Well, I think as a volunteer, it's always fascinating to listen to what's going on. I recall last year your presentation, right, and the presentation on banding that mallard that stayed in the same place till April 29th and got up and flew away.
That's right.
I remember that. I thought that was fascinating, and to learn about conservation that really, when I was state chairman in Tennessee a really long time ago, we didn't have anything like that. We didn't have the expertise and the professionalism that you guys exhibit in putting on these presentations. So from the science standpoint, which I particularly enjoy, to what's going on fundraising, to what's going on in the political arena, stuff like that, it's I just think it's interesting. I mean, if you're a duck guy, and I consider myself a duck guy, it's fascinating. And in closing, I would like to thank Doug for starting the 1 month and 5 day countdown already. That's the other thing I'm going to remember.
That's right. So, Doug, in closing, if you had to say one thing to inspire and encourage somebody that's listening to this that has not attended a state convention in their state or in another one, what would it be?
If you want to be with like-minded people, have a good time, celebrate Ducks Unlimited success and your state's success, bring your family to state convention and have a good time, and bring the kids, and it's a place where you can let your hair down and no pressure. It's just have a good time.
Guys, it's great to be here with you at the Louisiana Ducks Unlimited State Convention, and kudos to every other state chairman across the U.S. that's putting on these events in support of Ducks Unlimited, honoring their members, their volunteers. Thanks to all of them. Chuck, Doug, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Mike.
All right, folks, so now we're going to transition in this particular episode to hear from two of our volunteers, very special volunteers to me here in the state of Louisiana. I lived down here for 13, 14 years with my wife, and I volunteered with Lafayette chapter of Ducks Unlimited and got to know these guys very, very well. One of the saddest parts of leaving Lafayette was the fact that I had to leave you guys here. But joining us here to talk about state conventions from the perspective of the state-level volunteers that kind of make it happen. My first guest here is...
Hi, I'm Kurt Cazayoux. I'm the current state chairman for Louisiana.
And the other guest here we have...
is Jay Owen. I am on the board of directors, and I serve as regional vice president of Region 4, and I am serving this year as Kurt's state convention chairman.
All right. So I want to give each of you an opportunity to kind of talk about your volunteerism for Ducks Unlimited, how you got involved, how long you've been involved with Ducks Unlimited. Kurt, let's start with you.
All right. I started out as a sponsor back in 2007, thanks to Jay Owen. He invited me to be a sponsor, and we dove in with both feet. And the following year, in 2008, Jay knocks on my door and says, "Hey, do you know how to make a PowerPoint presentation?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Why?" He goes, "You're on our committee now. You need to start developing this little PowerPoint presentation for our banquet." So that's how I started as a volunteer in 2008, and have held many positions in the state ever since, from communication chairman. I was the campaign chairman, district chairman, and now I'm state chairman.
Yeah, and so that's usually the way it happens. You show some competency in some particular skill, and the people involved with the DU chapters, they quickly latch onto you and say, hey, I've got more things for you to do.
Yeah. And the thing was, everything I went to early on, they drank beer and ate a lot of good food. So I was like, I'm in. I'll do this forever now.
Awesome. And Jay, what about yourself?
I got involved in 2004. I was asked to join the committee by a friend of mine, and so I came on, and a few years later I got involved at more of a state level. Over the years, I served as state campaign chair. Was state chairman in 2015. 2016, I joined the board, and then became a regional vice president last year. But always have stayed involved at a state and local level. I'm involved with several different chapters here, and just love the people and everybody else down here. So it's just a wonderful getting to know all these guys, their family.
One of the things that I'll say here, we are at the Louisiana State Convention here in June of 2022, and we could have this conversation in every single state convention that we have. And so as the people are listening to this, if you are a volunteer for Ducks Unlimited, this conversation is about you. This is what you are to Ducks Unlimited in your state. If you have a state convention, I want you to be thinking about the way what we talk about with Jay and Kurt relates to what you do. So this is as much a thank you to everyone else that serves in your volunteer positions in every other state as it is to you guys here that I'm sitting with. We are downstairs in the embassy at the Doubletree Hotel in Lafayette, Louisiana for the 2022 state convention. We heard from our president, Doug Schoenrock, and our first vice president, Chuck Smith, on the first part of this episode, and they were describing from their perspective, also both volunteers. Volunteers are the fuel that make this organization work. They always have. They're the most precious thing that we have in our entire organization. It was an honor for me to work with you guys and basically to continue working for you guys as the volunteers that make this organization work. State conventions are, as Doug and Chuck talked about it, a time to celebrate the work that you all do. The men, the women, the boys, the girls, the kids, every part of your family is a part of Ducks Unlimited. I've seen it. Your entire family, Kurt, is part of Ducks Unlimited. Jay, the same with you. All of your family members participate in the banquets, and so they are as much a part of this as you guys are. Kurt, I want to get you to talk about it from the perspective of current state chair for Louisiana. Kind of what does it mean to you to be in that position? And then how much goes into pulling off a state convention like what Louisiana does?
To pull off a state convention, it especially one in South Louisiana, it takes a whole team of volunteers. It takes a whole lot of people. Jay and I could not do this by ourselves, and we have an amazing group of people that help us bring this together and pull it off. I always considered the state convention my Ducks Unlimited family reunion. So not only my family gets involved, my personal family gets involved, but I get to see all my DU family friends and them come together and celebrate, being a volunteer and patting each other on the back, congratulating each other, and being together, fellowship.
And then how much of an honor is it for you to be recognized and voted in? I don't know exactly what the voting process is or what the approval process for a person to become state chair, but nevertheless, there's some approval of you, some endorsement of you to become the state chair. What does that mean to you in personally and then even professionally within this organization?
Well, it means a tremendous amount to me. I'm very, very humbled that I was chosen to become this year's state chairman because there are so many deserving people who could make phenomenal state chairman, and they chose me. So I'm extremely humbled that I was chosen. It's very gratifying in that they recognize that I've done a lot for the organization, and they value what I've done in my leadership. So, it's very validating. But it's also very enjoyable in that I continue to get to work with some great people and a lot of my very close friends that I've developed at the state level throughout the state in the DU leadership and volunteers. So it means a lot.
Mike, one of the things here in Louisiana that's very, very unique is that our past state chairmen, we have quite a few of them, who are still heavily involved in the selection process. In fact, when we select the people who vote on it are the past state chairman, and they're the ones who decide. So it's the peers who are picking the next state chairman.
And there's a fraternity among those past state chairmen. It's pretty special. I see y'all interact, and it's pretty cool. What about the interactions you have with state chairs from other states? I know some of them are here. I know you have a lot of friends. Talk about that as being a past state chairman. How much fun do you have kind of interacting with state chairs from other states?
Well, I'm in a unique position being a regional vice president because I get to work with other states within a region. And so I travel to a lot of other state conventions and I meet them and they come. It truly is a special bond that state chairmen have, and they feed off of one another. Every state convention is kind of tailored to their volunteers. But as we said earlier, the state convention is for the volunteers. I mean, that is where you want all of your volunteers to come, to be recognized for all of their hard work, because they're the gasoline that makes the DU engine work. And they need to know that, and we do a great job not only here in Louisiana to really celebrate that hard work that the volunteers do. But, like I said, all the other states, they kind of tailor them, and they have their own, unique little, things that they do. I go to Arkansas every year. They have their bingo, and,
Mississippi has a bowling tournament, I think I heard, or something of that nature. Is that right? Something of that nature. Yeah.
And so, it's amazing to see all the states and how they do it, whatever. But, we're here right now at the Louisiana State Convention, and we truly put on one here that I think is, rivals any. A unique thing that we do here is we have what's called the Roadkill Cookoff. That was last night, and you were out there, and it's where all the chapters come together, and there's a competition amongst them, so nobody knows what anybody else is cooking. They come up, they set up on Friday afternoons. There's tents. We have live music, raffles going on, all kind of stuff. Fun jump for the kids. But the teams come out there and they start cooking, and we have a panel of judges that are all in the food industry that nobody knows who those people are, and then all of the attendees get to vote for whatever food that they like best. But that's truly something that makes this state convention, really unique, and a lot of people, come in for that.
And if people that are listening to this want to try out the Roadkill Cook-Off, if you're going to be at National Convention next month, you're going to be able to see what it's all about, and it's probably going to be elevated a little bit, if I had to bet. So, Kurt, talk about some of the other things that we do here at the Louisiana State Convention. As Jay pointed out, all the states do something a little bit different. This one is almost like it pretty much is a 3-day event. Y'all started basically Thursday night, and then kind of talk about what's going to be happening through the evening.
So I was talking to Jay earlier about this, and that a state convention, the Louisiana State Convention, if you broke it into parts, you can basically say it is 8 different Ducks Unlimited events pulled together over a 3-day period. And it all starts with Thursday night with the state chairman's reception. We had a cochon de lait where we roasted a whole hog, had a lot of other good food with definitely a Cajun flair. We had a Cajun band out there, and we actually turned a few out-of-towners into honorary Cajuns. So that was quite fun Thursday night, and that's how we kick it off. We flow into Friday, where we have the major donor luncheon for lunch, and then that evening is the big Roadkill Cook-Off, where much smack talk is bantered about.
There's a little bit of that. And then Saturday. Saturday's a full day, starting at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Starting at 9 a.m. in the morning, we have 3 events going on simultaneously. We have the business meeting going on. We have a women's event for the ladies, and we have a green wing event, all going on at the same time. And then when those 3 things conclude, we lead into our big awards banquet luncheon. And then after that, the coup de grace, the big gala banquet tonight.
which includes all the things that you normally see at your DU banquets: a live auction, raffles, silent auction, probably a few awards given out, and who knows, some special events or other special items offered up. It's always a great time. I've been here to the Louisiana State Convention a number of times.
You know, one other thing though that you didn't talk about is what we love is our hospitality room.
Oh yeah,
you know that's in the evenings afterwards. And you know, this year we really stepped it up a notch. Last night in hospitality we had live music till midnight. You know, we brought in all the roadkill food. We had cornhole games going on.
Was a little something special going on tonight, right? Did I read the sign correctly?
DJ Sage is
karaoke.
Karaoke.
Night
Oh, that's going to be.
You see, I didn't mention it because that's our best kept secret, but I guess the cat's out the bag. It is a good time in hospitality, that's for sure.
Well, guys, we're going to wrap this up. I don't want to take it too much of your time. I know you have a ton of other things to do between now and when the gala starts in a couple of hours. Anything else that y'all want to add? Before I offer that up, I will say you guys have done a remarkable job with this event, with everything that you've done. How many people do we expect to be here
tonight at the gala banquet? We'll probably have about 350 plus people.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. And I also did appreciate I don't know if it was a Abbott and Costello or Laurel and Hardy routine that you guys seemed to do. That was a Boudreaux and Thibodeau. Okay, routine that y'all. Okay, sorry about that. Regional, got to get it regionally correct.
That's right.
Anything else that we want to mention here from the perspective of state chairs?
Yeah, one of the things that I want to say, you know, with our events and what really makes it unique is I know that you were talking to people with the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries yesterday. Is we brought in the agency and they've been here and very helpful throughout from beginning to end. And we bring in a lot of vendors who set up here all week. And that's really a good time because the people, you know, they're set up and people just mingle with them and everything else.
And again, I will say that if anyone listening to this in other states, I hope you hear yourself, your contributions as volunteers, as state chair, past chair, future chair of those particular states in what we've been talking about here. If you have any, you know, the reason we're talking about the Louisiana State Convention is because we're here. We had a few other things that we were going to do, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to hear about state convention from different perspectives. If anyone out there listening wants to pick the brain of either Kurt or Jay or anyone else here involved with Louisiana State Convention about the things they do, what they could do in their own state to try to emulate some of what Louisiana has been successful with, I'm sure you guys would be more than willing to talk with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
and look, if anybody wants to ever come and join us over here and see how we do it, we can feed a few more people.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
And if you're coming in from out of state, we'll probably make you an honorary Cajun. So
there you go.
Come on over.
Kurt, Jay, thank you guys so much for your time here on this episode, and thank you for your friendship, for your volunteerism with Ducks Unlimited, man. It's awesome to be with you again.
Thank you,
Mike. Thank you.
A special thanks to all four of our guests on this particular episode: Doug Schoenrock, Chuck Smith, Kurt Cazayoux, and Jay Owen. We appreciate everything that they do for this organization and their friendship. As always, we thank our producer, Chris Isaac, for the wonderful job he does with these episodes, and we thank you, the listener, for your time, for your commitment to Ducks Unlimited, and for your passion for wetlands and waterfowl conservation.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the DU Podcast. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show. And visit www.ducks.org/DU Podcast for resources based on today's topics, as well as access to more episodes. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of Ducks Unlimited. Until next time, stay tuned to the Ducks.
A very special thanks to our guest on today's episode, Chuck Smith, first vice president, and Doug Schoenrock, current president here. We greatly appreciate their time on this quick episode.